especially in the evenings. So if I ask that you show me where you usually go in the afternoon, don't take it personally. But Speaker, I want to conclude by saying that I look at this calendar and it is extremely tight because of the slow pace at which business moves. And if we can commit, I wanted to even suggest maybe to the majority leader that we should designate special days for putting the question and divisions so that it is mandatory for people to attend. And that way, all our bills move. Because I can see all of these, many of the bills on the order paper, Honorable Speaker, you will see these are members' bills. And we have already been 2 years in this House. At this particular point in time, you have to demonstrate the sort of legislative work that you have done. So when we say these things, Honorable Speaker, it's not to impute negativity on our colleagues. We know that the senator's life, it is a harrowing job. I understand that. And especially, I feel especially, sensitive for those who have to travel long distances to come to Nairobi for House business. But at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, it is for the benefit of all of us to be able to be in the House. And a few things that the majority leader said that I have a different perspective on. Honorable Speaker, I had opportunity to sit with a few members of the diaspora. The reason why diaspora remittances are more than any other industry in this country is because we are not creating jobs here. And that is something that has been acknowledged even by the Kenya Kwanza government by trying to put in place certain things. Even yesterday, the debate we were having about having cheaper electricity, putting in place infrastructure, all those things are the things that other countries have done to encourage investment in their countries that then result in jobs. So it is not that we are exporting labor. We have been unable to create opportunities for people here. And if you speak to the people who have spent their lives in the Middle East, in the Eastern Europe, in the US, doing menial jobs, Honorable Speaker, they would like to come back home. And in fact, that is the message that they told me to carry when I came back, that they would like to come back home. They would like to retire in Kenya. They would also like not even just to retire, but find opportunity to do the same jobs that they are doing out there here in Kenya so that they can be around their families, Honorable Speaker. So lastly, Speaker, we have to be a bit more, I don't know what I can say. I have challenged my friend, the leader of majority, that we need to maintain that spirit we had when we were discussing that motion on nationhood, the state of the nation. It would really feel bad if we lost that spirit. So that if something is wrong, and the way that we had started, if something is wrong, something is wrong. I don't think there is anybody, Honorable Speaker, who can be proud of the country we are living in. When you see the images we saw yesterday on the news, that police officers are bludgeoning a student at the university, and a police officer just casually drops a tear gas canister, or where the young man is lying. I don't think anybody or any one of us can be proud to live in such a country. And we need to go back with that spirit that as we conduct our affairs here, we can set the objective truth and set our country right. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Sifuna. Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I think this is a procedural motion. I want to support Majority Leader on this procedural motion on the review of our calendar. I think I agree and share with the frustrations. I'm proposing that, and the Minority Leader is here and Majority Leader is here, is there a possibility, Mr. Speaker, to develop a system within the caucuses of both minority and majority to alert members? Because looking at the order paper, 90% of the people who own bills in this today's afternoon are not in the House. So it means if those people are not here, Mr. Speaker, we can't proceed. It means the House will adjourn prematurely, Mr. Speaker, and we know the effect of prematurity. Mr. Speaker, the secondly is that, secondly, Mr. Speaker, is as I am wondering, because today, Mr. Speaker, Senator Faki raised an issue of resources within the running of committees. And you are aware that senators are pending bill of 450 million. You sit in the liaison committee. You are aware that because of budget constraints, every committee will get 7 million for domestic travel, Mr. Speaker. I am wondering how will our facilitation to Busia, for example, be? Because the Senate looks like to be struggling in terms of facilitation and finances in terms of it. Even as we applaud the Senate machinery, Mr. Speaker, because we want to understand the people. We are a byproduct or the product of devolution, Mr. Speaker. We want, when we want to go to Busia, people should understand the workings, the functionality, the ability of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, through Senate machinery. What we need to be told is that are we well resourced enough to avoid a sitting? Because this rescheduling of Busia, myself, I had made proper arrangements. Because the calendar, Mr. Speaker, the calendar I had been given was to be in Busia on 23rd September, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you can imagine the financial and emotional anguish. I'll go through, Mr. Speaker, in reorganizing the diary, Mr. Speaker. You know, my cows are calving at that season, Mr. Speaker, so it will be hard to balance to be in Busia and taking care of my cows and also harvesting maize, Mr. Speaker. And we have a small matter of sugar matters, Mr. Speaker. So at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to Senate Business Committee because some of us do not have a privilege in sitting there. Can they find a way of engaging members so that we don't need to be having a conversation? I'm agreeing, Mr. Speaker, I want to protect members. Most members, Mr. Speaker, who step out, especially in the afternoon session, I want to inform the majority leader, they always go to the Senate launch, and some of them have healthy challenges. Maybe they want to use restrooms, Mr. Speaker. They want to make phone calls to follow issues with their members of public in various counties, to console us as stakeholders like cabinet secretaries, console their party leaders, like Secretary General of ODM. Maybe there is a matter on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, when you see Senator Eddie Okech stepping out of the Senate, even you, I normally get you calling Bomet to find out issues, to clarify a few issues before you come and cooperate. So I want to ask Majority Leader if he was imagining other things that members are doing. I can confirm to him that members are doing very good things when they're in the Senate launch, Mr. Speaker, when they are taking tea and mandazi, when they are consulting, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes you get emergency from your family, Mr. Speaker, and you cannot make phone calls from the floor of the House. Some people raise, and Mr. Speaker, and you have to appreciate that as young legislators, Mr. Speaker, we have more business than youth leaders like Senator Uhuru Odinga, Mr. Speaker. You know, most of them have how do you say it in English? Most of them,
Senator
Mr. Speaker,
Cherargei, kindly refrain on the language.
Sorry,
please.
Mr.
Please
Speaker.
use parliamentary
They
language.
are finished. They are finished in giving birth, Mr. Speaker. So they don't have many problems like young legislators like Senator Eddie, Mr. Speaker. Some of them are still trying to find relevance and footing in politics, Mr. Speaker, in this country. So I want to appeal that I agree with Majority Leader. We have our caucus as Kenya Kwanza. We mobilize ourselves. If Senator Cherargei has a business or Senator Sigei, there's the Majority Leader, if Senator Karen Nyamu, be alert in advance. And Secretariat kindly, because and this is special appeal, most of our colleagues who have bills, sometimes they don't have moving notes. I want to ask your office of the Speaker to also come in handy and assist members who have bills but do not have moving notes, so that when you ask them if they are ready to move their bill, they are not even ready to move. So I want to appeal, even as we look at the challenges, Mr. Speaker, but I want to challenge Senate Majority Leader. The way Senator Eddie has said, even as leadership, from the House leadership, chairpersons of the committees, they should lead by example and be present in the House. Like the Deputy Majority Leader, I want to challenge the Senate Majority Leader to work closely and encourage the Deputy Majority Leader to be always here so that we can get that inspiration. If the Majority Leader and Deputy are not here, Mr. Speaker, the people who are ordinary members might not feel the motivation to be here. I'm not saying she's not there, but she's always there, but sometimes held up in other engagements of parliamentary duties. So we need, at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that as leadership, we lead a way forward and allow that cohesiveness, Mr. Speaker. And if we can borrow the spirit of Minority Leader, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you the Senate will change. But we have agreed, let us move forward, Mr. Speaker. Let us engage, and moving forward, this motion will ensure that it goes into place, Mr. Speaker. With those very many remarks, I support this motion and I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cherargei. Senator Keroche Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, also for giving me this opportunity. And I rise also to support the alternation of the Senate calendar for the part 4 of the 3rd session. I think the senators should work on targets to ensure that the business for the 2024, meant for 2024, should be complete before the end of the year. So I like the way the majority leader has said that we need to push to alter the calendar so that we can ensure that we can finish the business. And I was surprised to see Senator Kajwang mentioning of the job, and giving a description of the job when he's a well-exposed man. I know he moves all around the world. He knows the maids of Canada, the maids of UK drive cars. They work on hour. 1 hour, you cannot afford to pay them when it comes here to Kenya. So when you send them there, they will get better pay. And when they're coming back, the way they will help their families, I think we'll see progress in this country. What we should be working on is to ensure we grow our economy to meet those standards. Because here, our maids, the way we pay them, to me, I should be fighting how they should be paid more. You can imagine how many hours they work. But when you go there, you have a maid that can work for the hours that Kenyan maids work here, you cannot afford. They earn more than 100,000. I think more than teachers, more than even, I don't know who. So I think when we were doing the Kenya Kwanza, we were saying kazi ni kazi, and we ensure that we dignify all the jobs that are here, and we should work very hard to ensure we grow our economy so that we can meet the international standard. The reason why we are sending ours outside there is because our economy has an issue. So let's fix our economy. You'll see our maids and the teachers and the senators, parliamentary, whatever, they are equal. But today, here in Kenya, we have that gap. But when abroad, there is no difference. Whether you are working as a maid, you are working as a waiter, you are manager, you earn the same. You park the same cars outside there at the parking. That is how we should ensure the Kenya will be. But we need to grow our businesses, we grow the manufacturing, we ensure that we create that environment for businesses to thrive in this Kenya. So, Mr. Kajwang, you've traveled. Don't lie to people that you don't know the work of the maid. When we send somebody in German to do a maid, it's better off paid, highly paid, more than the DCs of this country of ours, more than the county commanders of this country of ours. And when they bring their money here, you can see the difference. You will never even know they were maids. But here in ours, you are thinking the maid in your house is the same maid in abroad. But I know one day, even our mates here in Kenya will match the international. So I support the alteration of this calendar so that we ensure that we can finish the business meant for the 2024. It will be so sad that we can forward business meant for this year 2024 to 2025. And I think it's not right for a senator like the Nandi senator to stand here in front and lie to the whole of Kenya that Senator Keroche is not in this house. I'm very sure if we compare who is in this house more than the other, it is Senator Keroche, not Senator Nandi. And I know the Nandi people can confirm that, and the Nakuru people can confirm that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Senator Kajwang.
Right of reply.
Honorable members,
Mr.
Senator Kajwang, proceed.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Senator Kinyua. Resume your seat, Senator Kinyua. Take your seat, Senator Kinyua. Please take your seat. Senator Kajwang, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, this being a procedural motion, I intended to make very minimal remarks until Senator Keroche spoke. And until Senator Keroche mentioned Senator Kajwang and Senator Cherargei. Mr. Speaker, let me start with the easier part. The easier part is to support this motion and to remind the House that we have a lot of work to do. And Mr. Speaker, we have a very short time to the end of the session. In the next few months, we will be hosting the East African Legislative Assembly Games here in Kenya,
And we know how disruptive that is. In the next few months, we'll be having the Conference of Parties on Climate Change in Baku, in Azerbaijan. In the next couple of days, a few of our colleagues will be going for the UN General Assembly. The schedule towards the end of the year is very packed. Mr. Speaker, we hope that we'll also be discussing the formula on revenue allocation. And for those of us who have been here, that has been one of the most contentious issues, and I'm happy Majority Leader corrects me that it will come in the next session. Mr. Speaker, we will be talking about our appointee to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. So there's a lot of work, Mr. Speaker, not to mention Senate Mashinani, which is usually 1 week of serious work outside Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the Senate, that even when we were on recess, the Senate kept the nation informed on the things that are happening in dark places in this country. If it was not for this Senate and the Committee of Roads that is chaired by Senator Karungo Athangwa and the Senator for Kisii, amongst others, this country would not have understood the problems at our airports and the issue of Adani. And Mr. Speaker, everywhere we go to, we are told that the Senate is doing a good job in keeping the government in check. I want to congratulate all those senators who have come out to speak about the excesses of those in power. During the recess, Mr. Speaker, the Senate has held to account governors, those imperial lords in our counties. When they come to the Senate, we have held them to account and put them in their place. And Mr. Speaker, I'm so happy that yesterday, when the cabinet sat, when the first broad-based government cabinet sat, one of the first things that they communicated in their resolution was the invocation of the constitutional principle where if someone makes a decision that leads to the loss of public funds, that person is held liable. And Mr. Speaker, for the first time I saw from the cabinet a statement that public officers who contribute to loss of public funds shall be surcharged and shall be held individually responsible. Mr. Speaker, even when this parliament was attacked by young people who really they were not coming to attack us, were coming to have a conversation with us, it was a Senate that insisted that we must continue with our sessions. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the House Business Committee that there are certain motions, certain bills that have been in the order paper for quite some time, that we need to prioritize them so that even senators can report progress. And Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate Senator Cherargei. The other day, I saw that he is one of those senators who has brought more legislative proposals and statements to this House. I believe all of us have got burning and pressing issues that can be brought to the floor of this House. Mr. Speaker, as a House, let us agree to sort out this issue of the oversight mechanisms for senators. I don't want to call it an oversight fund, because it is not money that you'd call a fund. It is oversight mechanisms and arrangements, or giving senators the instruments and tools that can allow them to go around and carry out their constitutional mandate. Right now, as we speak, Senator Omtata has been forced to go to court to compel a county government to produce accountability records. Mr. Speaker, we need to give ourselves teeth. No one is going to give it to us. If other parties were to have their way, they would detooth this Senate. If we donated our powers, or if we donated the space to any other institution, they are not going to give us more. They are going to take away from the Senate. And so we must find a bipartisan way of sorting out this issue of oversight arrangements so that in between our sessions, because on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we are out there in the counties, we should be able to facilitate senators to carry out their constitutional duties. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, because this was a procedural motion, I think this Senate is expected to have a fairly adult conversation on issues affecting this nation. And Mr. Speaker, the issue of jobs has come up. And I don't want to take a personal approach to it. And I'm glad that Senator Keroche is in this House. Perhaps I might not know about every other senator, but I believe that Senator Keroche is one of those who's creating jobs in this republic. Mr. Speaker, and I want to disclose this. When Senator Keroche joined this House, she talked to most of the senators. She talked to me and told me, I'm expanding my operations. Could you get me someone with certain qualifications so that I can consider them to push my organization to the next level. Very few entrepreneurs will tell you that. Very few entrepreneurs will reach out to colleagues and tell them, I am expanding, I am scaling up. If you have someone, recommend them to me. Because some people will go to their relatives and family, and those are the ones who kill industry. Senator Keroche, I'm very proud of you, and I'm very proud of what you've been able to achieve in a tough environment. But we cannot be lenient with a government that spends money on training, spends money on education, and then does not spend time and money to create employment opportunities for those people. We cannot mince words. We must tell the government the truth as it is. Why can't we enable more people to be industrialists and entrepreneurs like Senator Keroche? Why should we spend money on an education system that gobbles up the bulk of our budget for us to then spend more money to go look for jobs for those people out there? Mr. Speaker, the labor market follows the rules of supply and demand. If you've got an excess supply of labor, it means that your local market, you have already satisfied the conditions, you have already satisfied the demand for the local market. For you now to go to Germany to look for more jobs for your people. And yet, we are here as senators, the upper house, Mr. Speaker, trying to be apologetic over a government that has failed to create jobs for our people. Whether we are exporting nuclear scientists, Mr. Speaker, whether we are exporting tech professionals, whether we are exporting lawyers. Mr. Speaker, we are in an environment where in this country you have doctors without jobs. And yet the doctor-patient ratio is not where it's supposed to be. You have a situation where you have lawyers who are tarmacking.
Senator Kajwang, what's your point of order, Senator Gloria?
Mr. Speaker, I raise on a point of order on statement of fact. That is Standing Order 105. Mr. Speaker, I have heard Senator Kajwang saying that this government is not creating jobs and this government is actually not intentional on solving the issue of the lack of jobs, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is open knowledge and it is in the public that we have various funds. We have the Uwezo Fund, we have the Women Fund, and all those funds are intentional to ensure that we create enterprises. To be able to make jobs, Mr. Speaker, we must push enterprises. We even have a new ministry of micro and whatever enterprise, Mr. Speaker. So is it in order for someone to stand and say that this government has made absolutely no intention in creating jobs when we are spending a lot of, including the Hustler Fund, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr.
Gloria,
Speaker,
you have made your point.
I think he should say maybe that we have done it at 50% or 30%, but not that we have not done it as a government.
As you conclude, Senator Kajwang, could you also be confined to matters of facts? As you conclude.
Mr. Speaker, I invite the House to peruse publicly available documents, the report of the Kenya Institute of Public Policy and Research, KIPRA, the report of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. The numbers are there. The unemployment ratio, the unemployment rate is there. The Federation of Kenya Employers, the rate of unemployment is there. It is not getting any better. And that is why you have now a policy of growing diaspora remittances. And Mr. Speaker, as I said, diaspora, the product that you are calling diaspora remittance is human capital. Mr. Speaker, when we went to the United States, in the state of Minnesota, we found highly trained Kenyan doctors running the medical services in that country. That is how it used to be in the past. They did not go there yesterday. They went there 20 years ago. That is how it used to be in the past, that we would produce doctors and export doctors. Mr. Speaker, we used to produce engineers and export engineers. Mr. Speaker, the London Metropolitan Transport System was designed and is supported by a Kenyan, produced and educated here in Kenya. In Minnesota, the state, Mr. Speaker, the head of nursing and medical services is trained at the University of Nairobi, did his locum and internship in Kenya. That is a kind of export that we should be doing. Mr. Speaker, even when it comes to coffee, we export prime coffee, we export prime tea, That is what Kenya has been known for. That is what Kenya should be known for. And that is what our government should strive to be known for. That we are exporting professionals of the highest caliber who can bring back home skills that can drive this economy. And I am not afraid to say that someone who went to the university, it is demeaning for them to go to Qatar and be subjected to house calls, Mr. Speaker, when that person studied architecture, that person studied law, that person studied engineering. Let us not be apologetic. Let us not be embarrassed to call it what it is. But, Mr. Speaker, I do not believe that Senator Oroba, 9 months from today, because she has told us there was no withdrawal, so there will be some things after 9 months. 9 months from today, I do not think that that baby that she will raise and take to school, that she would be happy for that child to study engineering, only for that child to become a housemaid. Let us not be mediocre. Let us not be mediocre. And let us tell the government not to treat Kenyans in a mediocre fashion. We have the capacity to be the Silicon Savannah. Mr. Speaker, we have the capacity to export IT labor. We have the capacity to export legal labor. The president should not be using taxpayers' money to go and look for jobs of guards and house girls. And we are not demeaning them. We are just saying that let him create those opportunities here at home. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Now, Senator Halwale, you definitely cannot then...
I rise under Standing Order number 66 to request that since we have now become repetitive on this procedural motion, Mr. Speaker, you put the question, you invite the mover to reply. I want to do some other business.
Senator Gloria, order, Senator Gloria. Senator Sifuna, order members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 109, I call upon the mover to reply so that we can progress on this motion. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 1091, I propose the question that the mover be called upon to reply on the motion. Majority Leader. Honorable members, will as many as of the opinion that the mover be called upon to reply say aye? Aye. The ayes have it. Majority Leader, proceed to reply.
Speaker, I want to thank colleagues who have taken time to speak to this motion, who have supported, and the commitment that has been made this afternoon by colleagues, Mr. Speaker, that they'll try and attend these sessions every afternoon, Mr. Speaker, debate, engage, Mr. Speaker, choose to be informed, not spew ignorance, Mr. Speaker, or half-truths, Mr. Speaker. I want to appreciate, Mr. Speaker, the interest with which many of our colleagues have on the government programs of Kenya Kwanza. I would invite Senator Moses Kajwang that he is looking for the information on bilateral labor agreements, Mr. Speaker, in the wrong places, Mr. Speaker. Such information as the jobs that the President has secured cannot be found in the postings that he's referring to, Mr. Speaker. Information on KNBS and such like information, Mr. Speaker. I want, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate
as well, Mr. Speaker, the commitment that has come from Senator Cherargei and Senator Eddy, that despite their young age and interest within and without of this House, Mr. Speaker, that they will always stay between 2:30 and 6:30 in following what the leadership is urging them to do, Mr. Speaker. And that is how they will become leaders in this House in the future, Mr. Speaker, out of their dedication. With those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply.
Now, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, the matter does not affect counties. And I now put the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made, Senator Boni Halwale. Kindly take your seat. I now put the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 15th of February 2024, approval of the Senate calendar, and 19th of August 2024, alteration of the Senate calendar, pursuant to Standing Order 32-4, the Senate resolves to further alter its calendar, regular sessions for the third session 2024 in respect of Part 4. To 1, continue with regular sittings until Thursday, 31st of October 2024. 2, proceed for recess from 1st November 2024. And 3, resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 12th of November 2024. Honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Could you please call the next order?
Order number 11, motion, alteration of dates for the sittings of the Senate in Busia County.
Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move the motion on the alteration of dates for the sitting of the Senate in Busia County. That aware that on the 11th of July 2024, pursuant to Article 126(1) of the Constitution, the Senate did resolve to hold its plenary and committee sittings in Busia County from 23rd to 27th of September 2024, acknowledging that the recommendation of the Senate Business Committee to alter the dates for holding the sittings in Busia County and the need to put in place necessary measures for successful sittings. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to alter the dates for the Senate Mashinani in Busia County from 23rd to 27th of September 2024 to the 28th of October to 1st of November 2024. These are moved by about 4 weeks. Mr. Speaker, I had explained earlier that there are certain contingency plans, Mr. Speaker, that haven't been concluded between us and the county of Busia, Mr. Speaker. You do understand that a visit in Senate Mashinani program, Mr. Speaker, involves so many other plans, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, this program is so elaborately organized that it has now attracted global recognition. And in the beginning of next month, the minority leader and yours truly have been invited to Athens, Greece, Mr. Speaker, to receive an award on behalf of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya for innovative practices in entrenchment of democracy, Mr. Speaker, courtesy of the Senate Mashinani program. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if the Secretariat and the technical people that are putting together this program, Mr. Speaker, ask that we delay our going to Busia by 4 weeks, Mr. Speaker, just so that we can have an even better Senate Mashinani than what we have had in Turkana, in Uasin Gishu, Kitui, Mr. Speaker, so that we make it better and make the people of Busia feel and interact with the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Then it's a simple ask for us. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is a fairly straightforward matter. I don't think we